Do I wanna, this is a better warmer? Hey everybody, J-Bone Christian here, director of Mother to Earth, with another important update. As you can probably tell, December of 2018 is coming up fast, and I wanted to sort of check in to make sure that everybody knows sort of where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. To get this sort of disappointing part out of the way, we've decided that it's important to push the film back to spring of 2019. And I'll go into the reasons for that, and I think that sort of being able to see where we've been is really important in addressing that concern. That's all the time we'll need, thankfully. It's not one of those things where it's like, you know, the project just gets pushed back further and further forever. But there was a lot of stuff that came up that really enriched our project, but it also sort of set us back in time and like threw off the structure of how the edit was going to work and stuff like that. So I'll get into that. To start off where we've been so far, we started in summer of 2016 where we filmed Camp Fangamer. We met with a bunch of really awesome Mother fans, as well as like getting to see the museum with all the merchandise and really get a feel for how the game has impacted people. Especially for an audience who might not all be Mother fans, it's really important to sort of set the tone and to sort of understand why the game is important. After that, we went to Washington and met with Phil Sandhop, who was the head of localization for Earthbound Beginnings back in the 90s, as well as Matt Alderman, who was a former Prototype owner and Nintendo gameplay counselor who worked on it as well with Phil back in the day. Both of them are really incredible, and they had some incredible stories to tell. After we met with Phil and Matt, we ended up going further south to my town of Portland for Portland Retro Gaming Expo. We met with Rue, a collector who owns a Earthbound prototype, as well as Frank Cifaldi of the Video Game History Foundation. He and his sort of nonprofit are all about sort of preserving games and giving people an outlet to be able to use information archived to be able to talk about games and why they're important. After we met with them at Portland Retro Gaming Expo, we ended up going further south to California, San Francisco and LA to be specific, where we met with Steve Demeter, head of Neo Demiforce, the team that actually dumped the ROM from the cartridge and made it playable on emulators. And then we met with Greg Mariotti, the guy who sort of found the first prototype. After that, we went to Denver and we met with JJ Hendricks, who runs the Video Games Price Charting website, which basically tracks the prices of games sold online. But we interviewed him because of his experience with collecting, especially like the crazy stories, you know, the sort of backroom deals. There's PowerFest, you know, like really getting an insight into how collectors' culture works and just how crazy sometimes it can be. After Denver is when things started to get a little bit off the rails in terms of our production schedule, and there's a reason for that, and that reason is Japan. We didn't plan for Japan at all, we didn't budget for it, we all paid for it out of pocket, and ultimately it was something that had just sort of fallen into our laps. Our original plan was to meet with Andrew DeRuin, the owner of the actual prototype, in Florida to sort of finish our filming off. And that ended up getting pushed back. We ended up taking another trip down to Dallas, where Christian is centered, to figure out sort of our layout for the film, get some additional interviews with Patrick Scott Patterson, another video game historian. Then we also got a trip to the Video Game History Museum, which was really cool. If you're ever down there in Plano, Texas, check it out. It's really cool. They have a giant Pong. After taking a look at the Video Game History Museum, we ended up actually interviewing Evan and I about our history, sort of like getting the voiceover stuff out, you know, without actually recording it formally, so that way we can know when it comes to writing the script and getting everything laid out how we want it to go. So that was our plan after that, was record, lay out all the footage, organize it. We had to get some of that back end, like everybody had to have the same folder structure in case we're sending files around, things like that. Transcribing interviews so that way we can both have them as closed captions and know sort of timestamps of where everything is. And once we did that, we actually sent that to our editor, Katie, who is incredible and put together a rough cut for us to look at and evaluate sort of how our ideas went from paper onto the screen. After that, it's just refining, you know, adding some stories that are cool that got missed along the way, or, you know, little moments that are good. We have some insert shots that we're planning on recording, similar to Josh's story, if you've ever seen that. It's on the Mother Earth YouTube channel. Basically, we have this idea for recreating some of those moments that are really special, just to add some extra polish so that the B-roll that we're cutting to is not always just, you know, a street corner or like or like footage of the game, you know. We want to really make this special, and that to us is something that'll get us there. Music is super good right now. We have a ton of tracks made by Austin and Cole that we've already introduced into our film. Additionally, in terms of music that won't necessarily be a part of the soundtrack but will be part of the film, we got to talk to Mr. Suzuki himself about using a couple of tracks, both of which we're currently in the process of licensing right now. We've sent off the paperwork, it just needs to be finalized. We're really excited. So stay tuned for that, because oh my god! And then after we get the sort of sound design done for the edit, once the picture is locked, we're going to send that off to one of our friends who's an amazing color grader. And he's going to be taking care of us, at which point the film would be pretty much done. So that's where we're at, that's where we've been, that's where we're going. Thank you so much for supporting us in everything. I mean, I know that a setback of a few months is not the greatest thing in the world as a backer, you know? It's a lot of trust to be able to put your financial earnings into a project and not know if it's going to be made or not. But I want to assure you that this is not to save the film. This is not us trying to like breakneck catch up and throw it out the door. It's really a matter of making it as good as possible and really capturing what it feels to be an Earthbound fan. So thank you so much, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at mothertoearthmovie@gmail.com. Feel free to send us a message on Kickstarter. And if you want to hang out with me, I will be at Portland Retro Gaming Expo this weekend. I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I won't be there on Friday just because I have some family plans. But we're not doing anything Mother Earth there. Feel free to say hi. I'll be wearing this for sure. I'll probably have a Sukajan jacket on. It says Cool Dragon on the back, so if you see anyone like that, I mean, feel free to say hi. I guess what I'll say is thank you so much for supporting us, and we'll see you in spring. Oh, and before I forget, check out NoClip right now, patreon.com/NoClip. That's not my project, that's Danny O'Dwyer's project. It's a whole Patreon-funded game documentary channel, posted free on YouTube, no ads. It's currently going through its second wave of funding. I just personally backed, finally, after like 2 years. They just hit their historical docs tier, which means that they will be making more content in line with what you would expect from Mother Earth. It's a lot of information to dump at once at the end, but again, thank you so much, and check it out. So.